I was explaining how I wanted to be a lawyer because I wanted to build communities. Community building is the thing that inspires me the most. And when I was growing up, I thought, okay, lawyers, that's what they do. They kind of fight for the little guy or whatever. And I just, as I went through my undergrad, I realized that media made that possible as well, because it's a form that is very populist and people can access it, and there's a literacy so that you're not excluding people. Like, anybody can watch a video and voice their opinion. I think that's the greatest thing. But I think it's also very powerful, and those who create media have a certain kind of ethical accountability to having the agency to define those audiences. So I think that's part of it as well. I think it's inherently, would I say political act? Powerful act to produce media. Because you're going on record. And like, when I'm talking, I have to go on record and be accountable, but you're also accountable for making this video.
It's true.
Yeah, so, and the e-magazine as well, I mean, it's a record. We're going on record to take into account what we think is important. So, accountability is a big part of it. Well, I think that there has been a lot done, that art is happening in Lethbridge. I think the university, the Faculty of Fine Arts there is renowned across the country. And the Southern Alberta Art Gallery is known across the country and internationally. So, I mean, art, it's a funny thing in that it's not really the most populist contemporary art form. Contemporary art speaks to a specific audience. And I think that specific audience that are contemporary artists or curators or appreciators, they all know about Lethbridge. But in terms of, my cousin in, I don't know, Flin Flon, they might not have heard of all the art scene in Lethbridge. But I think people would be quite inspired to get a real sense of the different players in art internationally and across Canada who are very much aware of what's happening in Lethbridge because of a lot of what's been built in terms of the collection at the university and because of the curatorial record here at the gallery. So, but to continue that initiative, I think students need to get involved and be part of that history again, to come, finish their coursework, come and volunteer at places like the gallery, and be part of that history. For me, my first internship was, I'm from Ottawa, and it was with the Canada Council for the Arts in the Media Arts section. And I think I was, I don't know, maybe 19 years old, maybe 20. And, it just blew my mind. Because growing up in Ottawa, you got to go to the National Gallery, a Museum of Civilization, for field trips. Like, I didn't know how lucky I was in terms of all the different kind of culture that was around me. I really took it for granted. And, why would I care, at the, under 20. But I got this job at the Canada Council for the Arts. It was a summer internship. And I just got to see all these different people across the country making all this different kind of art, and how well respected they were, not only in their world of art making, but also internationally. And I got to learn about the grant writing process at a very young age. Even before I knew I was going to be an artist, I learned all about how to get the money, because that was my first kind of arts job, was at the major funding agency in the country. So I was pretty lucky. But, and then from there, I just volunteered my butt off. It's like, I volunteered for film festivals, I volunteered for Cinematheques, I volunteered for community papers to do film reviews. Because I just thought about what I enjoyed, and it often had to do with film. So I just would walk up, knock on doors, make phone calls, and say, what can I do? And I had a really rich, diverse education outside of the classroom. But I had to bring a lot of writing skills to that. But those were the skills that I had back in the day, early 90s. So it was really just about finding what my interests were asking people if they needed help. And I got to meet a lot of people, and I think that's also a key part of when you are just on the cusp of entering the workforce. Always know that Canada's a small country. Cultural production in Canada is even smaller. So network. You never know who you're going to meet. And I think that's also the thing about maybe doing an internship at the gallery. You just never know who you're going to meet. Because there are, world-renowned artists that come here. There are emerging artists that come here. There are curators from all across the country that come here. Thinkers, filmmakers. And so you never know who's going to be walking through this building when you happen to be, just working on a task at hand. And you'll get to meet them. A year later, you'll want to talk to them again and say, oh, it's so-and-so. Send them an email. And remember we met at the Southern Alberta Art Gallery? I was wondering if you need any help. Fill in the blanks. So networking is a huge part of taking that next step to build the career you want to have. And I think having, appropriate levels of professionalism, not to be buddy-buddy with people, but professionalism, reliability, accountability is a huge part of networking. And I think the gallery is a great spot to do that because there are people from all over the world coming here all the time. And they're in cultures. Well, I think it's easy regardless of where you are. I think we just, it is easy in Lethbridge.
Because it's like different dynamics, like close-knit Lethbridge as opposed to loosely associated,
Ottawa,
large,
for example, or Montreal or Toronto. I think in Lethbridge, that filmmaker was right in terms of the fight over funding isn't as vicious. But at the same time, I've been on many juries for many funding agencies and for the country, and people from Alberta are not appropriately represented. So there's still there's this shyness to participate in the big leagues. So
Alberta kind of disassociates itself with art and culture.
And it's kind of funny. This gallery has had this big renovation, and the AGA, Art Gallery of Alberta, has gone through a huge renovation. There's a new art gallery, newly renovated in Grand Prairie. Medicine Hat is really well known for its art and culture. Of course, Calgary has the Glenbow, and all sorts of art and culture going on there. So I think it's coming. It's just younger in terms of its interest and investment than it might be in different places. In major cities, there's been leadership for many decades, or many generations rather, that culture is a foundation, a pillar of any healthy community. You've got education, you've got healthcare, you've got culture. And I think Alberta is really making that commitment right now. So it's an exciting place to be because you can build a lot of things. But at the same time, it's about scale, right? In a community like Lethbridge, you've got to be able to roll up your sleeves and wear about 17 different hats. In larger centers, you might be able to, after a while, get that job as just about that one thing you're great at, and you get paid really well to do it. So, there are pros and cons, I think, in terms of quality of life and what you as an individual are looking for. There's tons of opportunity here in Lethbridge, and as well in major centers, because there are also different layers of art activity. Like in Montreal, you might have 3 major museums, but you've also got something called Artist-Run Culture, which is, curates work of emerging artists, and you can join a board of directors in an artist-run center. And so it's just it's a little bit apples and oranges, but I think the bottom line is that there are opportunities everywhere. And so if you network, you'll find the people to help you connect with those right opportunities. Got to get that business card out.
Yeah.